ARK Invest share some thoughts after Tesla's annual shareholder meeting, starting with the big news, Tesla getting into the chip fabrication business.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Brainstorm. Today, we're joined with Tasha Keeney. Brett is here as well. And I lied to everyone. Sam will likely be back next week. That's my bad. Here we go. We're going to just jump right into it. We have two great topics. First, Tesla shareholder meeting. Next, after that, we'll get into some ARK research on Robinhood. But Tasha, Brett, want to open it up to you. Just had the Tesla shareholder event. Lot to talk about. So why don't we take it away?
Sure, I can start. Leading up to the meeting, the big decision that everyone was looking for was to see whether or not the pay package was approved. It was approved. So that's, good news
Not just approved, but approved with an overwhelming majority and almost 100% shareholder participation. Clearly, not only were people willing to vote in favour of this package, but also encouraging their friends, family, colleagues, possibly even enemies to also vote. No pun intended, but this was a huge vote of confidence in Elon Musk, his leadership, and also a gigantic double bird to all the anti-Elon propaganda that fell completely flat over the last year or two.
Incentivize, a CEO to deliver promises that seem impossible when they're made, right? But I would say, from an investor perspective, we got a lot of other interesting tidbits. Probably the biggest announcement, the biggest change that we learned about was that Tesla plans on building their own chip fab. They're doing this because even with TSMC and Samsung, they say, they think that chips will be the limiting factor for manufacturing. This is both for vehicles and for Optimus. They think Optimus could be more prolific than smartphones. And so in order to get the true volume that they need to scale both of these platforms, they're looking to build their own fab.
And recall that Elon Musk is on the record, first-gen Optimus manufacturing capacity around 1 million units per year, then many millions on the following generation, eventually 100 million plus, even potentially 1 billion robots per year, which would clearly require a fuck ton of chips. At the annual shareholder meeting, Musk said words to the effect of, we look for the limiting factor, we find a bottleneck, and then we address it. That's what we do. Clearly, Tesla has extremely aggressive plans, not just for Robotaxi, but Optimus. And Tesla's hand is being forced. They really need to take matters into their own hands.
Much different business. That's a very different business from what they do now. So, Brett, what did you think when you heard that?
Yeah, and it was new news. I'm doubtful. Well, I think within the context of total volume of chips produced, it seems clear to me that there should be enough chips to support kind of these newfangled applications. Within Tesla's ability to negotiate with TSMC and Samsung, maybe they're not being given the volume promises that they want to hit their ambitious goals. And so similar to what happened with batteries, where there was a battery supply crunch in order to both kind of spur kind of the supply chain to invest in the form factor that Tesla thought was superior and to give themselves more negotiating leverage, they invested in their own vertically integrated battery manufacturer. I think that's the way to interpret the news, where it's not necessarily that Tesla will develop a fab that then is selling to, all these other players. They're going to invest in the technology both to make sure and increase their negotiating leverage against Samsung and TSMC to ensure that they have a good chunk of their supply. And maybe, it provides them with sourcing for specific products that can use whatever node they manage to get to and the particular strengths and weaknesses of what they do on the fab side. But spinning up a fab is a license to incinerate billions of dollars. And so I think that there's I think it's probably a very low odds proposition that they get to kind of like a globally scaled fab that can compete with kind of the already scaled fabs. You have to line up a bunch of customers. Like, they may be the biggest consumer of chips in the world over time.
That is certainly Tesla's intention. Again, hundreds of millions of robots per year, possibly 1 billion over time. We can see on screen now, this is what a fully scaled Tesla chip fabrication plant would actually look like. It's unlikely Tesla's intent is to sell these chips to other customers, although it could happen. But their own needs are going to be rather large. I just want to remind everyone, at Tesla's annual shareholder meeting, Musk was talking about the potential for Tesla chip fabrication plant to be doing 100,000 wafer starts per month, eventually possibly 1 million. And if you don't happen to be a chip expert, I include myself among that, it's been pointed out to me by some viewers of the channel that each wafer can produce many chips. So if we're thinking ultra long term, call it 1 million wafer starts per month, extremely conservatively assume 10 chips per wafer, probably a lot more than that. Nice round number though. 1 million wafer starts per month could be 10 million chips per month, per year. 120 million plus chips? Absolutely colossal. This is one of those situations where Tesla has seen a massive bottleneck on the horizon and needs to do something. And to Brett's point, chip fabrication plants are not only extremely capital intensive and require extremely high volumes, but conventionally can be very slow to get up and running. Of course, Tesla moves at lightning speed. But the only reason Tesla would be considering, let alone talking in public, let alone Elon Musk sharing details about this at the annual shareholder meeting, is if they have absolutely no choice but to pursue this.
Which would then kind of allow them to potentially do it well. But, look at Intel, which has, relied on its own volume to essentially underwrite its own fab. And they, are really struggling right now to make the economics work. So I don't underestimate Elon, but I do think it's more of like a positioning play rather than we're going to go all in and try to compete with Samsung or TSMC.
For their own needs, yeah. I mean, of course, if it was to compete, it would seem strange to announce that at the meeting. It seems like their partners necessarily wouldn't take that well. And they also mentioned that they, could see a future where they work with Intel. So it seems like the decision making for kind of where does this volume exist in the future is still ongoing.
Yeah, and maybe Tesla turns around and buys Intel. Maybe not, but I do think that generally, the idea that Tesla is going to be the chip maker for not just Tesla, but also, he mentioned sending, compute chips up into space. SpaceX will clearly provide the launch facilities and probably the launch satellites for that, but that Tesla will be the provider of the underlying chips does indicate that it's likely that Tesla could be the chip provider that XAI could rely on over time, assuming they get inference chips that are kind of sufficiently interesting that they can scale and designed to allow to scale to more language type models rather than just the embodied robotics. And so I do think it was both kind of Elon recognizing that he's been being incentivized to drive Tesla forward here, and then looking at his own team across all of his enterprises and saying, hey, I have like the chip design team inside Tesla. I need to use this team to best ability across everything that I'm involved in. I do think that that's the direction they're moving. They tried to use Dojo to compete head-to-head with NVIDIA for the training stack and have now, cut losses on that particular effort, saying, hey, the inference chips is where things are going to happen. But it's pretty clear that, particularly on the humanoid robot side, but also on the Robotaxi side, there's going to have to be like reasoning that goes on in these chips. And so the inference chips for those devices will probably look more and more similar to the training type workloads that XAI has to do. So you could read it as like there is a, if you look at OpenAI's plans for investing in compute, it exceeds $1 trillion. Well, XAI to keep up is going to have to invest something on that order. Well, OpenAI is trying to ally with Broadcom to create its own chips. It seems natural that XAI would need to try to create its own chips. And now Tesla seems like it's the natural provider of that talent and engineering resource to facilitate their growth.
Brett.
Once again, on screen now, we have a potential Tesla and XAI partnership and or investment making a hell of a lot of sense. Safe to say, ARK Invest's somewhat skeptical about Tesla's ultimate end destination with chip fabrication. Does it happen? Does it happen at massive scale? Does it start and then rest in peace like Dojo? But at this point in time, it's quite clear. Musk ain't fucking around. He is very serious. At the annual shareholder meeting, talking about chips, dreaming about chips. Here's a post from September. Quote, just had a great design review today with the Tesla AI5 chip design team. This is going to be an epic chip. An AI6 to follow has a shot at being the best AI chip by far. Switching from doing 2 chip architectures to 1, again rest in peace Dojo, means all our silicon talent is focused on making one incredible chip. No brainer in retrospect. He adds, kind of the whole point of this post, to be honest. Please join the Tesla Silicon team if you want to work on chips that save lives. Milliseconds matter, and we ain't done. Nick posting this more recently. Quote, this is what Elon Musk has been up to every Saturday. Post, Tesla AI 5, some of the stats, e.g. 50 times improvement over AI 4, 9 times more memory, 10 times raw compute increase, blah blah. The point here, Elon replied, yep, just wrapped up the AI 5 Saturday chip design review a few hours ago. We're starting to do some work on AI 6 too. There's more. Michael Dell, if that surname sounds familiar, there is a reason. And I happened to be meeting just beforehand, so I invited him to join. Hopefully, he found it interesting. Now, what I find interesting is the fact that Musk even took the time to mention this. Didn't need to. Musk adds, by the way, AI 5 will not be available in sufficient volume to switch over Tesla production lines until mid-2027, as we need several 100,000 completed AI 5 boards line side. So let's recap. Elon Musk every Saturday, meetings about chips, posting about chips, talking about chips, replying about chips, inviting people like Michael Dell to watch and sit in on the chips and meetings. And don't forget this, from earlier in November. Just finished a long AI 5 design review with the Tesla, California and Texas chip engineers. It's going to be great. And AI 6 and AI 7 will follow in fast succession. AI 8 will be out of this world. In response to this, a user on X writes, AI 8 might be the chip for the orbit, as in orbital, data centers. Musk responds, nailed it. In conclusion, it seems extremely clear right now that Musk ain't fucking around. He's extremely serious. There's no point getting into the chip fabrication business unless you'll be reaching extreme scale. And it seems, as I record this, that's exactly the fucking plan. Want more content? Early access? Bunch of perks? Click the links in the pinned comment. AG1 has been part of my daily health protocol for almost half a decade. It's packed full of vitamins and minerals and helps me fill in nutritional gaps while supporting energy, digestion, and immune function. It also has prebiotics and probiotics to promote gut health. I take my health very seriously, and so should you. Try AG1 today by visiting drinkag1.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment and enjoy a free welcome kit with vitamin D3 plus K2 and AG1 travel packs. That's drinkag1.com/SMR.